Hey guys, so before I get started, I want to say that the analysis I'm going to do is ultimately still heuristic for investing, but it's a calculated one, and it's not one that I made up of. It's actually one that many investors use to pick or predict set value. But let's go with the basics. So the easy question, like why is Evolving Sky so expensive and yet it's undervalued? Um, well, so this is usually undisputed. It's that like most newer sets are undervalued because like their actual value like in the future is going to be worth more than their current price. That applies to pretty much every new booster box. Even if the set's really bad, it will usually appreciates. And like when you go back to booster box data, like if every other booster box is selling on average like around $100, if I just go to the prices of all the booster boxes, which this isn't all of them, but a lot, it's a lot of them. It's like even things like Battle Styles, it's at 132 now. Volch's 140. Keep going to like even sets that like you look at what cards are in there. Like, why is it so expensive? It's because it was valued. It's actually valued more than that. Um, and it's because like when the time changes, one of the big things is just like supply and demand. Like it's out of print, and there aren't as many of them. Because booster boxes themselves are more than just the sum of the cards inside of them. But yeah, so this like generally no one really argues with that. Like all booster boxes, a lot, especially the newer ones, like the newer booster box is definitely undervalued. And the analysis that people really want to know is more like opportunity cost and what's the right thing to choose. Because even if something's undervalued, doesn't mean that you should buy it. Um, it's kind of like everything has potential, but like what potential is worth investing and which one is not. Um, so yeah. But yeah, so a newer set um, is usually really expensive because the singles are worth a lot, or there's like usually a chase card, but essentially it comes down to the singles. So like searching sparks, part of the reason. Like there's also you have to take into account that the time frame of things, like the demand cycle of sets does vary, and so like you kind of have the beginning cycle which just released to like kind of like the like to the like around the first 2 years of release until it's out of print. So there's an initial part where there's a high surge of demand, and then like it kind of mellows out somewhere in the 2 year gap, and then once the demand like the print runs to go to zero, like then another set goes in. Like another cycle starts where like the price rises above MSRP basically. Um, Surging Sparks was just released recently. It was released on like November 7th, so that's like over a month ago. And so like right now it's having the thing where like some of the data isn't as reliable to look at, but people do look at this. They look at what's the total set value, which is add up all the cards and just compare it to booster box price. And that's basically the simple heuristic. So like I did that for a lot of like popular sets, from like recent to like older. I wrote down like the booster box price and total set value. Sometimes instead of total set value, what people do is like they just take the value of the top five or top three or top 10, um, because like then you'll see like is it like because a lot of times when people like want to open booster boxes, it's more of a I'm really chasing that card. Like Evolving Skies is known for the Moonbryon. His Pikachu will probably be chased for a while, but that's just technically guessing. Twilight Masquerade has a Greninja. Um, and then like there's some analysis with depth as well of like it's really nice if there's high chase cards and depth, and the Evolving Skies definitely does have that. Like it has the Moonbryon at like, wow, it's 1400 now, but then like wow, 500, 300, 200, like the total set value is insane at $4,000. Um, so and that's why Evolving Skies is so expensive. Like so it's out of prints. It's technically a newer set. Like I know it's 2021, August 21, when it was released, but it's not like 10 years old or anything. So like usually pretty much every Sword and Shield set has potential to grow. Like that's pretty much agreed on. Unless like they kind of like it's usually pretty obvious when it's at the lower marks. Like something like Rebel Clash and Sword and Shield base, they're expensive because they're just such short print runs. Um, and so like, but people generally agree. Like you just kind of figure like these cards are not as good sets, and I feel like they won't grow as much as like Evolving Skies. And yeah, a lot of times like you'd be right about that. And well, how do you know that? Well, you're doing that based on like your intuitive like approach to this. Like Sword and Shield base doesn't really have a lot of good cards. Evolving Skies does. People are gonna want to pull it because like one thing that will happen. Like just think about it. if there's really high cards that people want, and it's kind of like worth it. Like even so, there's one case where like it's a really extreme opportunity where let's say a bonus guys is like $100, and these cards are selling for this much. Then it's like, wow, if I just pull one of these cards, I get my money back. So some people will just buy the boxes just to like try to get the value back. And if the following size was $50, like people do it all the time because it's pretty much free money. But like it's not that extreme. A following size is very expensive. The pull rates are hard. Um, and but still people will want to chase the Moonbreon, and also people are like, hey, if I'm going to spend money, because there are collectors in this hobby, like, or if I want to like open stuff on a live stream, I want to open up all these guys because that'll get them more views. Like there's just like more different avenues of motivation to open it, and because people will open it, the supply goes down, and that'll drive up booster prices because it's a basic supply and demand thing. um so yeah, so a lot of this analysis applies for a lot of sets, but of all these guys, yeah. So it's again, this is why it's expensive and yet it's still undervalued. It's undervalued because the booster box price is still less than the total value of the cards. Like the booster box price is, let's see, it is about $1,000, like 950, and this whole set is 4,000. But a lot of sets have that actually. Like, and so what people do in their analysis, because this isn't just specific to all these guys, they look at the ratio of the total set value to searching sparks. And again, like this isn't perfect because sometimes the prices are skewed, and yeah, a lot of times they are. Like you're never going to know the real value. Like you're essentially asking what the real value of the card is in a sense, which does vary over time. Um, and like I've heard for I think Team Up or something. Was it Team Up? The one with the Latios? Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, this Team Up, like I've heard like this is a very popular card. See, it's like $1,000 card. It makes up a chunk of the total value of the set, and I heard this was not the chase card for a while. So like prices do vary. Like I wouldn't fully trust the Surging Sparks prices because like it's a pretty new set, and like some of these prices are very likely to change. But like yeah, it's a general heuristic people use. Like, hey, this is probably at least a good set. Like they use the eye test of like, because like if you like imagine if like none of these cards are worth anything on release. Like Pikachu is barely worth $30. Latios was worth $10. Everything else is like $5, and it gets to $1. So people are like, like it's probably not that good of a set. Like people don't know how good the cards will be, like, and how much demand there'll be until like the statue comes out, because like the market will tell you, hey, like because like the rarity is the same for a lot of the cards, like SIR, the rarity should be the same. It's like, but I really want the Pikachu, and sometimes you have like strange things that happen, like the quality control is weird for a certain card, and so the grading plays are harder, and so like the PSA version is worth more, and since the PSA version is worth more, then the card in general will be worth more because people want the grading plays. Like you see, like it all plays on like the actual qualities of like the market for that product, and then like the plays and the potential, like why people would buy the card. Um, but uh, but yeah, so I did take the ratio. Did I sort this back by dates? Yeah. So I took, and I kind of based this on booster box price. Like I know, like I went through just like, so these prices aren't perfect or anything. I just got this all from Pokédata, and I just looked through like you can kind of tell which is like, okay, so you go through an error. It's like this is Scarlet Violet error. Which ones are more expensive? Well, Searching Sparks is more expensive, and I know Paldea is more expensive. I know Twilight is more expensive. So I just took those three. Because like these are popular sets, and so in Shield I took like Lost Origin, Fusion Strike, Long Skies, Chilling Rain, and the rest are like not as popular. And you kind of tell from the price that they are like they're literally priced like less. So like the price is an indicator of the popularity for Sun and Moon. Like I took these four because these are the most expensive. Um, and I took some for these, and yeah, so that's how I chose the sets. You can do it for all of them, but I just it's a lot of numbers for a spreadsheet, so I didn't do that. So yeah, so these are sorted by date, and these are the sets, and yeah, you'll see the ratios in general for the the newer sets, like they're better. Like total set value is better than the price of the booster box. And so you're like, okay, so yeah, this kind of just shows the potential. Like as I said, like newer sets have more potential to grow because yeah, they're literally priced pretty low. Because like booster box prices, you absolutely know they can go higher. Like you see the lower prices, like you see a 950 for Evolving Sky, see a 700 there, 700 there, 2,500, 1,000 there. Like it's not all booster boxes. When I go to the data, like a lot of booster boxes they'll kind of settle for a while, like sometimes for a while or sometimes for a long while. Um, Again, that's why I'm like, this is a whole opportunity cost game. Like, if you, like you kind of, it's helpful to look at in terms of like errors. So if I look at the Sun and Moon era, it's like, okay, so these were hits. Um, and then like this did Special Storm Ultra Prism did okay, and then but then Forbidden Light lost under to lower, and then like Crimson Invasion did really bad. Like it's not a good set, and then like so, these are the lower ones, and because investing is sort of like, hey, it's not like all in once thing. It's like a time thing. It's like people will use this sort of analysis to kind of see like, are there opportunities? Like some people like to like buy the what the quote unquote best sets, and some people just look for the market opportunity. It's like, oh, like I think that um I look at these prices and it looks like for like the higher price booster box is actually undervalued more than this one. I think that this one's about to go up because I look at the numbers and it doesn't make sense. Like the booster box price would be higher, and that's why I buy it. And same thing applies to the lower one. Um, and then so okay, so I'm gonna sort these by ratio, and I think the numbers don't change that much. But yeah, you see like Surging Sparks has the best. It's at 215, but people are, and then so you're like, oh, should I buy more Surging Sparks? Well, maybe. I'd say it's a newer set, it's a little more riskier. Like you start, like you have these three sets that are not out of print yet, like Masquerade, Paldea, and Surging Sparks, and they have the highest ones. Like okay, so that has its own analysis where there's like reprints and stuff. So like I think Paldea is like a safer one because it's already had reprints and stuff, and people aren't expecting it because it's an older set. But Twilight hasn't had one, and Surging Sparks hasn't had one, and so these sets I feel like are a little more risky to just go all in on right now. Like they will do well over time, because they do seem to be good sets. They're undervalued like 6 times, 8 times ratio, but maybe like the total to value isn't right or whatever. So like there's some like analysis for newer sets. Okay, and then like older sets, just slightly older, Sword and Shield. You have like these four sets: Chilling Reign of Long Skies, Lost Origin, and Fusion Strike. And then so like they should have like the next highest potential in a sense because they're the second like youngest basically. And you see it like Chilling Reign 5, Long Skies 4, Lost Origins, like so basically you're expecting these to go higher prices. And yeah, you look at like Chilling Reign, Lost Origin, Future Strike, like the price is still pretty low. Like you know that booster box prices can go for like 300, 500, 1,000. You're like, well, these are the best sets of this like generation or this set of like because like Sword and Shield because Pokemon sets come in like sets of 12. You're like, well, I noticed that like from the data that every set of 12 has like its own sort of like hits and not hits and kind of varies over time, but like you see it from the prices like um sometimes like you see like XY booster box and this and Phantom Forces did really well, like you get to thousands and Ancient Origins. I don't know if this is accurate, CP6, but like there's but then like there's Steam Siege which kind of lags behind or whatever. But you see how like the prices are still like quite high. And so you're like, oh, I think Sword and Shield will do that eventually. And you see what these like um all these are above 500, and then like all these are like these are 400, 300, and 200. So you're like, okay, I think it has room to grow. And like it's not guaranteed, but like like if you choose enough of them, you're like, hey, one of these is probably going to grow a lot. And you're like, yeah, because so it just seems like undervalued. So like a lot of people expect these boxes to go, since they're the better sets, they'll go to like more like at least 300, 500, 1,000 range. No one's really sure, and no one really has a time frame. And then you go to like the next set of stuff, like you see like Cosmic Eclipse, Unified Mind, whatever, team up, and then the ratios get lower and the prices are higher, and so those are more accurately priced. So like you just see like, but you do see like you're still at the point where for the popular sets, the ratio is still more than one. Like the total set value is greater than the booster box price. And then once you get to the kind of the next set of stuff, you kind of see more of the ratios get below one. And this is where this is a more like normal case. Once the box gets old enough, the singles aren't worth as much, and the box itself is a collectible. And so like this is where you're kind of like questioning the value of the box at that point because like you're like, okay, if I wait like 20 years, like this will probably go up like still a bit. But like then you ask the same question, like what if I wait 20 years for something else, or what if I buy and sell within that 20 years different things. And so like be, because no one really knows. Like they just use like this heuristic of like just a potential number. It's like the potential is kind of lower for my risk reward to be really good. Like if I invest a lot on these things, like I don't know if I'm gonna make my money back. I don't know how much potential there is. Um, and but like you see, like Evolving Skies, the crazy thing is that even though it's at 952, like it's still as if it's priced the same as like Chilling Reign Lost Order. It's like it's just like proportionally Evolving Skies has that much more potential because like it's still pretty much around the same number. Like Chilling Reign is 5.5, this is 4.5, 4.5. Like it's saying that like Evolving Skies has more potential to grow like proportionally than Lost Origin and Fusion Strike, which are very hyped up. There are like these aren't cheap, like 250 and 300, and so you're like whoa. And then like so that's why some people compare it to like some of the like really popular sets like Cosmic Eclipse and Team Up. Like see how these have reached the thousands already, and their ratios are still like above zero. But you're like, but yeah, like Cosmic Team Up is getting to the point where like the ratio is heading to one, so the potential is getting lower. And Cosmic Eclipse still has potential because it's 2.5. But you look at one side, it's 4.5. It's so much higher. Um, and that is why Evolving Skies is considered to be like very still undervalued, and not just like in a sense of like no one knows for sure, but they're like I'm pretty sure Evolving Skies, even if it's not the best bet of like growth and whatever, I think it will still do really well. I think it still has the potential to get to like the 2,000, 3,000 whatever range because I've seen it happen before. Um, so like as I go back up, like the number of boxes that go to 2,000 is like lower. Like I see this Team Up and Fan Force, and there's older boxes, and so but you're like, oh, that seems like well I've seen it happen before to Team Up and Fan Forces. So I think it's like a better set than them. Like, if you think yeah, then you'll get more Evolving Skies. And like so that's where people look at the cards and they'll be like, oh my god, look, these cards are worth so much. Like how would and like yeah, I think when you look at some of these sets, like some of the cards you're just sort of like, right? Especially with art changes and the style changes. If I pull up like uh Team Up, like this is Team Up, so like the arts are a little different. Even Team Up, some of these arts are kind of iffy. But you generally see you just see a lot of like good looking cards in a row. Cosmic Eclipse, I think it seems better. Like you just look at like there's so much like variation. It doesn't have as much of that rainbow rare thing, and so you can see why like it has so much more potential because people look at it like wow this is great. um, that's why the cards are worth so much. Let's see any final words. So yeah, like I know like it's a little clickbait to go why is Evolving Side so expensive and ridiculously undervalued, but like it is like even like though every set has qualities, like Evolving Skies still has a ton of potential. You can see it's still like if Evolving Skies was $2,000, and then total value was was only $2,000, then people would be like kind of worried. But at this was breathing room, people are not really that worried. Um, but yeah, it's all about opportunity cost. And one thing I didn't talk about is like whether you already own the sets or if you're just trying to buy more sets in general. Because some people try to switch out some sets. Like they'll think, oh, like I think Evolving Skies has already reached its potential. I want to sell out, and I want to buy other things I will appreciate more. And one of the things you have to think about is the cost of entry and exit. Because when you sell something, a lot of times you have to take some sort of fee. For example, like you're going to pay taxes. So even if you sell a long size for $1,000, you pay taxes. Like let's say you're losing like $200. It's like, well, is it worth it just keep avoiding guys to get more growth out of that? Another thing is like how are you selling it? Like if you're selling an eBay or TCG player, then you have to pay like a 10% fee already for that too, and then so you're losing more money for that. Um, and then so like yeah, exiting out of sets, like there's opportunity costs. Like the basically, in order to overcome those costs, the stuff that you buy has to be worth more. Like it has to grow more than like Evolving Skies like grows by a lot. And so like that's a big thing. So like that's why people who hold sets they'll just hold them because like I know that like this will go up a little more, but like just selling it will be like whatever. Or some people they just wait for the sale. They'll wait until they can get a really good price on it, but a lot of people are not able to get that price without like some sort of fee or discount. Um, but yeah, like it is true. Like some booster prices have like lower ceilings than others for price. Like some boxes it feels like they'll never go above a certain price unless like some extreme like a lot of time has passed. But like time like increases the value of like a lot of things. So anyway, so I hope that wasn't too long, but and if you don't do this analysis, like it's worth kind of doing because some people do this to predict really good sets because sometimes like honestly, like nowadays, well, if you look at the booster box prices, so like the booster box prices, like later on get like pretty extreme, like hundreds of dollars. So like if I look at Sun Moon Bait, like Sun Moon, like oh the price differences are like this is like 2.5, like this is the difference between like so much money. But like at this point, like if you can kind of already predict, which you can't always, it's like they're like except for searching sparks, the booster box prices are not that different. Like it's like a $20-$30 difference, and that $20 difference like sometimes it's worth more doing that because it'll pay off so much. Like it could be hundreds or thousands of dollars of different in the future. Um, and that's why people don't always just go for the cheap sets. Like that's why people aren't just going Scarlet Violet base because they're like, I think Paldea will grow more. I think it's worth the like $30 more. And so yeah, that's how. And they do that based on like this sort of analysis. But hey, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks. Bye.